So, websites are inherently less credible than library books and particularly academic databases. However, just because we can't use Wikipedia, just because Wikipedia is an unreliable source that shows we haven't really done any deep research for our topic, doesn't mean we still can't find, through deeper research, useful material on the web to incorporate in our work. A source does not have to meet all the highest criteria for credibility to still be valuable. What's important, though, is that in our evaluation, we recognize its weaknesses as a source and explain why we're still using it despite those weaknesses. A good example of that would be a television show I found on YouTube about Chicano Park. My analysis goes through the limitations of the reliability of that form, highlights the ways I think it still is reliable, and then explains how and why I think it's still useful. So I'm using the 4 criteria, but in some cases showing that those criteria are not met or are not as fully met as they might be by some more credible source. But I'm then explaining, still, this is cool. I want to use it, and here's how and why. A video is one example of the kind of source you can find on a web that you want to use. But you could also find a really cool website like this one, the Chicano Park Steering Committee's website. Now, the Chicano Park Steering Committee is not a reliable professional or academic source. It's a group of community members who are trying to keep alive the legacy of the creation of this park. They have a bias, they have an agenda. But in my 4-step analysis of currency, authority, bias, and supplemental sources, I can show the reader that I understand the limitations of this site and explain why, despite those limitations, I still want to use it. And that's what you can see in the write-up here. You'll notice also that all these websites, I have direct links to them, and they are correctly formatted following MLA citation format, which you can get examples from our library page. Wanted to show you the 3rd source that I use, the History of Chicano Park. This is an interesting source because on the one hand, it's academic, put together by the faculty of San Diego State University. On the other hand, it has some liabilities because it's old and because it doesn't include a lot of supplemental information. And so I identify those weaknesses in my discussion and explain why, despite those weaknesses, I'm still using the source. So websites can be powerful tools, but we have to use our 4 analytical criteria to evaluate their strengths and weaknesses and then explain carefully to the reader why we're using them. Of course, always remembering to put our citations in MLA format and provide a live link to the page. Hope this gives you a quick and useful overview to what we want to be thinking about when we use websites in our street art research. See you in Blackboard, see you on the web, see you wherever.